It's Saturday the 11th of December 2021. I'm heading off for a long, it's allegedly a speeds repeat workout today. So it's going to be, it's actually quite a distance to do speed repeats. So with the speed repeats, what I do is I'll walk for about 3 minutes, then do 800 meters at a pace higher than what I'd do a half marathon in, and then I recover for 3 minutes and then go through the same thing, another 800 meters fast, and then recover for 3 minutes, and so on. This one's probably the longest one I'm going to do of these, so I've got to do 12 of those repeats. But what I'm going to do today, as I'm trying this out as a bit of an experiment, I'm going to do basically 5 kilometers to get to the Zuiderpark in The Hague, and then I'm going to do the Parkrun, which is 5 kilometers, and then I'll finish the Parkrun, just say hi to everybody, and then I will head back, which will be another 5k. So I've planned it on being about 15k, which I'm assuming the whole distance is going to be, but I'm going to do that park run in the middle. So it's 20 past 8 in the morning. You can see it's the sunrise is actually 8:40 today, so not for another 20 minutes, but obviously it's already dawn, so it's starting to get a bit lighter as I progress. And I'm just coming down the Frederik Hendrik-laan in The Hague, so you see the shops are just starting to open. We've still got restricted opening here, so all shops and restaurants and bars have to close by 5 o'clock in the evening, and then supermarkets and essential shops, so supermarkets and anyway like chemists selling medical necessities, then they can stay open until 8 o'clock, but they're the only sites, such supermarkets and chemists basically can stay open until 8. Everybody else only stays open until 5. So I'm just coming up on Kennedy Laan, doing a lot of roadworks here at the moment, so I'm not sure quite where the best place is to cross, but I'll have a look at it here and then decide if I think we're going to go up to the bridge and cross over there and then head down. So that's the plan today, so we'll see how that is. That means hopefully we'll get everything done in about an hour and a half, so I should be done by about 10 o'clock. There's the gathering today for the parkrun. We're just doing the briefing, welcoming first timers, welcoming people who were coming from other places, tourists so called, and that's it. So we'll start in a few minutes. So I've done about 5k getting here, so we'll see how the rest of it goes. So we've just started the parkrun. So I've done 4.9 kilometers so far. So this will take me up to almost 10 by the time we finish. So I'm supposed to be running intervals, as I said, so I'm just going to see how I go, but I might try and just keep running for this 5k, and then I'll slow down my intervals for the 5k that I'm going to do after finish this. It's not a bad showing today. A few tourists, 50 plus, I think. It's not bad at all. Very mild day for mid-December. I think it's going to be 8 degrees today. You can see I've taken my top shirt off, and 11 degrees tomorrow. Just coming up on the first lap. Here we go. Marshals. Thank you, Val. See you soon, I hope. Thank you. So back at the start, so that's first lap, so 2 laps we do of the Zuiderpark run. That's probably about 15 minutes, so I'll get in around about 30 minutes. Just coming up on the parkours, there's a Marshall on parkours where the bikes will cross. Thank you very much. Last time, thanks again. So you can see it gets a bit stretched out at this stage. I can just see a couple of runners ahead of me. Here I'm coming to the end, into the finish straight. Hey, almost there. Yeah.
Well done.
This is what I find tricky. It's the only bit that's on grass or mud. So you don't always have ideal grip. Might cheaply go onto the tarmac for a bit, just to take it a bit easier. So it's the finish line. Record for here is just under 17 seconds at the moment. That was set about 4 weeks ago. Here you go. Into the finish. Thank you. Made it.
Number 5, but
yes, right. So on my way home now, so just done the 8th interval of 800 metres. So the park run, that worked out quite well. I think I had a chat for a couple of minutes too long at the finish line because my legs were starting to stiffen up trying to get back to do this last leg. Not too bad. I think I was just over 30 minutes. It wasn't particularly quick, but I was just happy to keep running really. So I didn't really do the intervals during the park run. I just did the 5k straight off. So I finished, it was just short of 10k by the time I'd finished, because of course I'd done the first 5k getting there, doing the intervals. So I've got, so that's the eighth interval. So I've got 3 more intervals to do, and that should take me roughly home. So this is actually working out quite well for this particular route. So it is going to be about 15 kilometres I think in total. Yeah, just getting back. It's looking like a really nice day today. Just amazing. And there's a brief bit of rain during the park run, but very, very brief indeed. It's just like a little shower, so it just freshens you up a little bit really. Okay, so I'm just about to get back into running mode now before I cool down, which is good timing. And I'll be going past the fish cellar in a minute doing his herring, so I'll yeah, hopefully be back in about 20 minutes. Blocking up the tram. There's the tram going through. Everybody has to wear masks on there. So coronavirus update. Actually, I'm on a walk at the moment. I'm supposed to be. Yeah, got another 2 minutes. So the big concerns now is the Omicron variant of the coronavirus that's now kicked in. So there's over 800 cases in the UK have been recognised. So it's doubling about every 3 days. So they're expecting it to start to take over from the Delta. There were 58,000 positive cases for coronavirus, so most of them Delta yesterday, but probably about 1,000 of those is Omicron. So still a minority, but it's increasing very, very quickly, considering we only just had a couple of cases identified a week ago. It's doubling all the time. So the provisions are that when we head back to the UK, we have to do a pre-flight test again. So that's back to what the situation was a couple of months ago. So we have to do a PCR or a lateral flow test within 48 hours of flying. Make sure that's negative and we can get on the flight. Once we arrive at the other side in the UK, we have to do the day 2 test, which we've had to do all along. But instead of just doing it on day 2 and sending in the result, what we've got to actually do with the PCR is wait until the result comes back as negative, and then we can then we can come out of isolation. So we've actually officially got to isolate. So it'll probably be 3 days because it takes got up to 24 hours to get your result back. So that's the situation at the moment. The Netherlands cases come down below 20,000 a day, so it's still twice the rate of the UK cases, but it does look as though that is coming down. So there's been a peak. We haven't noticed the peak because the testing exceeded the testing capacity, so it just kind of flattened off where we hit the testing capacity at about 23,000. So that's happened for about 3 weeks now. So the peak must have been much higher than that at some point, 30,000 plus. But there are signs it's coming down slightly, and but the Omicron's been here for some time. There's a number of flights from South Africa where they started PCR testing 2 weeks ago, and they had 18 testing positive for Omicron just off the first 2 flights that they were checking. So I don't know how many had come in the previous week. If indeed it did come in from South Africa and hadn't come in from elsewhere into South Africa originally, just they were the first to recognise it in their labs. So that's the situation. So I'm getting closer. Another 2 more intervals to go, 2 more 800 metre intervals. I'm almost back. I've just got back to the canal now, so I'll take a left turn and follow the canal back home. But you can see quite a nice day, middle of December, and it's getting up to 8 degrees I think today, and 11 tomorrow. That's really amazing. So a quick couple of extras that we have to do going back to the UK. We have to do a pre-flight test again. Now, we had to do those 2 months ago, so they've come back in, so that makes sense, just to make sure we're negative before we get on the flight. So we get given 2 days, 48 hours before the flight to get that done. So we'll book ourselves into that. It is extra expense, but whatever. Cost about 39 euros, I think, about £35 to get that done, because we can do it as an antigen rather than having to do a full PCR. But when we get back, the day 2 test now has gone back to PCR, as it always probably should have been, because they can monitor variants with a PCR test, which they can't do with antigen. So we've got to do that on day 2, and the subtle difference now is we've got to stay in isolation for those first 2 days, and in fact wait for a negative result to get back. So that'll probably be into day 3, because it normally takes about 24 hours to get the test results back from the lab, and then you can come out of isolation. So that hopefully means by the weekend we can be out of isolation and start checking in on family and friends and making plans for Christmas and the New Year. So we'll see whether the plans change with the Omicron variant and the cases still going up and up, but hopefully some of the increased provisions, particularly mask wearing and distancing, just rather than making those recommendations, actually make them mandatory. Hopefully that will curb things off a little bit, but we'll see how we go. So yeah, lovely day. Look at that blue sky on the canal there, the pump house. Yeah, so yeah, I'm pretty close to getting home. Just about to do the penultimate, last one, the 11 out of 12 intervals, and then another 1 more to go, and then I'm done. Right, and it's not even 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. How about that?